Late day showers and strong storms may push in from the north. More showers and strong storms tomorrow night. A little cooler for the weekend. Come to Larry's World Famous Buffet in Trenton for some of the finest home-style cooking around. Larry also offers catering, open Thursdays through Sundays. That's Larry's, just off I-59 in Trenton. And I'm Soaring G12 Chief Meteorologist Ash Report.
The radio 92.7.
From the mayor's office from the valley to the mountaintop. I am here just to talk with you, the listener, my friend, my neighbor, my fellow Chattanoogan. And right now, what I want to talk to you guys about is education. Oh, man, a hot topic, especially with so many people running for office, from District 28 state Tennessee representatives to just sheriff to people running for school board. Education is a hot topic. But the question that I have is, why are we still sending our children to failing schools to begin with? Why have we not taken the approach of having online school, having homeschool? Because I don't know if you guys have been following not only with the data, but also following that it wasn't too long ago, right, that we were looking at a state takeover of a lot of the schools here in the inner city of Chattanooga. Wow. Talk about terrible. And, you know, the interesting thing is, and you know, when it comes to the things that I keep hearing, especially from people who are trying to keep their seat on the school board, is Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson this. Dr. Johnson came up with this great idea. Dr. Johnson is only one man. And the reality is that, first of all, let's just look at the parochial school system to begin with. The parochial school system was never made to really educate and make people thinkers, to make people creators. It was made to educate people to sit down and be still for several hours, to follow instructions, and to work for somebody else, to do something for somebody else, to go into the factories and the industrialized jobs that we once had in this country. Well, if you look around, we don't really have that anymore. Unless you want to talk about slave labor like Amazon, where, you know, you may get paid $10 or $11 an hour, but it's not even nearly enough to live above the poverty level here in the city of Chattanooga or the state of Tennessee. So why are we still trusting in this ever crumbling and failing system that, despite the millions and millions of dollars that we throw at it? 800-8949, 800-8949. I am streaming live on Facebook. I am live on YouTube. Drop a comment, ask a question, call me, talk to me about this, because you, the listener, I want you to consider something. You know, my dad, he's a very, very simple man. He would say something to me all the time as a young lady growing up. He said, baby, stupidity or insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting the results to somehow be different. He said that was stupidity and that was insanity. And I think it's quite insane that we continue to put our trust in a system that only produces 17% out of 100% of our students will be job or college ready. Pause. Think about that. 17% of the graduating students in this state are going to be college or job ready. Now, the approach that the Hamilton County School Board has is basically a pilot program which has each school having its own specialties: forensic science, aviation, and various different things like that. And I'm quite critical of that because as far as this state and just America overall, the two things that we struggle with are English, science, well, three: English, science, and math. How is a person going to get into the aviation program if they're functionally illiterate? If they're struggling with math? Heck, I know students who go to school who have textbooks that are 4 and 5 years old. You're telling me that a child is going to go to a Ready Institute to participate in a specialized program and they can't even read and can barely do math and science? How does that work? What are we doing? Can anybody call and tell me what the school is doing to catch up students who are effectively failing in English, math, and science before they get them into these Ready Institutes? Before I see they have partnerships with businesses and corporations. Well, if a child is not even up to par on a reading level, what is the likelihood that they are not only going to succeed in the program, but they're also going to go to college and be ready? Because the thing that we have to think about is, as it stands right now, 800-8949, 800-8949, we're in a world economy. We're in a world market, which means that no longer should we produce children that should be able to compete on a national level, but effectively, we have to make children and have children that can compete on an international playing field. And if we're failing just in the basics, how are we doing that? For you, the listener, are there no other alternatives that we have to decentralize the educational system? Are we just going to continue to put our children through the same things over and over again? Is that the only outcome that we have? Is to effectively have our students and our children and grandchildren just be failures? Now, I want you to think about something. I don't know how many of you guys out there, I'm a reader. So I love reading books. I love getting a hold of information. And then I love breaking it down and making it simple. So one of my favorite quotes is from a book called Utopia by Thomas More. And he says that if I suffer my people to be miseducated and their manners to be corrupted from infancy, then I punish them. Then I punish them for which their first education disposes them. What is to be concluded of this? Except that we create criminals and then we punish them. Now, that quote can apply to many things. But if I were to use that in an educational sense, what does it mean to create the miseducated and then effectively make them criminals? Because the reality is that if you're not ready for jobs, if you're not ready for life, and you're not ready for college, what choices do you have to really take care of yourself except to participate in criminal activity or do things that are either going to get you killed or locked up? And one of the things that I talked about yesterday is that I am a big pusher of skilled trades. With a grandfather who worked 53 years at U.S. Pipe, which is no longer here in Chattanooga. He did 53 years with one company. That was his career. Why do we not have situations that we can create for our children like that anymore? Why are we not encouraging our children to be intelligent, to be thinkers? That's how free societies are created, is you have to have thinkers. Is our schooling system creating thinkers or robots? 800-8949, 800-8949. What are the alternatives that we have to this school system? Because to me, I don't see it getting any better. We've thrown money at it. We've had plan after plan. And it's not that I'm not optimistic about things changing, but if we're not even addressing the basics, like just making sure that the students have updated textbooks, what is the probability of the longevity success, the overall success of this program? I'm sorry, but I'm just really not seeing it. Why do schools don't even teach basic things like what to wear in a job interview, resume building, which is one thing I do on my own, professionalism, how to market and to brand yourself, how to sell yourself. It doesn't teach our students what credit is. Come on, you guys. Where are our children supposed to get this information? Because the reality is, especially if you're living in the Tale of Two Cities, Chattanooga, the average child, especially where the part of the city that I live in, is coming from a single parent home where the average parent is bringing home $26,000 a year, which means that that single mother is having to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. Who's going to have time to teach, even if some of the parents wanted to have the time to teach their children? How do they have time when we haven't even created the avenues for even the parents to be there in their children's lives, let alone for them to go to a school where teachers are like turnstiles? They come, but they don't stay. They come and then they leave, and I can't blame them. They go somewhere else looking for better pay. It's got to be another way. It just has to be other options. 800-8949, 800-8949. What about online school? I mean, this is the 21st century, where children are more into technology than they're into anything else. Why have we not catered the educational system to children instead of forcing them to continue to learn the same tired old ways for the past 100 years? A lot of kids, I run into children. I talk to kids. They're so smart. They really are. And a lot of them, really what they need is just consistency. They need consistency in teaching. They need consistency in information. They need people to be there for them. And really all they need is just the opportunity to be able to get a good education. But where do they get that from? Why can't we do that kind of stuff online? The majority of kids, they're on social media. Ask these children, talk to your child. Because you're the listener, I'm just here to ask questions and have a conversation with you. How many of you guys have children out there? You, the listener, you're listening to me. If you have a child, ask your child, your son or your daughter, if they're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. Now, some of the older people do Google Plus. I don't really hear a lot of young people doing Google Plus, but I guarantee you, at least the top 2. Your children are on Instagram and on Snapchat, for sure. So they're up on technology. A lot of them are visual. They make their own videos, right? That's how they're interacting with their friends, passing along information, passing on music. Why don't we have an educational system that's tailored to them, that's relevant to this time and this generation? Question out there. How many of the parents or the teachers, if you're a teacher, I'm talking to you, have you ever stopped to ask your children and the students in your classroom how they want to learn? Have you ever stopped to ask them what would they like to do as far as learning? Has anybody asked the children? I mean, They would be the best people to tell us, right? How they learn or how we can teach them. But if we don't ask these questions and we just try to shove information down their throat, because I guess all children learn the same. Now, for me, I get bored very easily. Just long drawn talking. You know, you got about 10 minutes with me and then I'm done. I need visual interaction and I need to see some excitement when you teach me. That's how you're going to captivate me. We're living in a very visual society, you know? So standing in front of a classroom with a whiteboard is boring. If nobody told you, if you're a principal and you're listening, it's boring. It was boring when I was in school. It's boring. School is boring. We have to customize our educational system to the children. We have to. I mean, I was watching a documentary, 800-8949. I'm streaming live on Nuga Radio 92.7 on the Facebook page. I watched a documentary where in Korea, kids are going to school online. Now, we're supposed to be the freest, most progressive nation in the world. And yet and still, we have to wake up our children like they're going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning to get on the bus stop and wait, go to school, be bored, have very little fun. To me, it's shucks. I went to East Ridge High School where I graduated from just to get a copy of my transcript for my records. And Jesus Christ, you got to even swipe to get into the school. I was floored that you needed a badge as if these children are going to CCA Silverdale or Core Civic, as they call it now. These children are effectively almost going to prison every single day. They got uniforms. Now, I just want you to think about this. Is that not conditioning? They got uniforms. Oh, we got somebody calling in. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
You have hit the nail on the head. 50, 60 years ago, I actually called schools prisons. They are conditioning people to be dumb. They want mediocrity. They're not teaching freedom. They're not teaching liberty. They certainly don't want people to think for themselves. Could you imagine if we take the $500 million that is stolen from property owners and renters, and that's what they're going to spend next school year, and we allow people to compete for that money to open up not one, not two, but 20, 30, 40, 50 different educational institutions. So I can determine if my kid loves the sciences, and then if they do, that money goes to that institution. And if my kid loves reading and history, that money goes to that institution. And then they walk in and there's a big area with modern day computers where the kids can actually be educated. The definition of education is to give proper moral, physical, and intellectual instruction. And by the mere fact that they can no longer teach morals, they are no longer educating, they are schooling. One can be schooled to be a thug, a murderer, or a thief. And the government institutions of lower learning are doing this purposely. They do not want an educated citizenry. And they certainly don't want inner city children being educated. They want them in their place, being subservient, and also require the assistance of the state so the elite can stay in power. That's what the system creates. That's
yes.
what the system wants.
Yes. I agree with that 1000%. Thank you so much for your comment on that. Because the reality is that we are effectively creating criminals. We're creating the criminal element. I don't believe children are born with that. I believe that they are conditioned and socialized to be criminals. And you ask yourself, if you listen to the first half of the segment, how would it be easy for a government to get away with not enforcing the law? Well, if you can't read it, if you can't read the law, if you have not had a proper education to be able to comprehend the law, then you certainly can't ask any question. You know, like a slave, you say, yes, boss, I trust you. And whatever you say is the truth. So this is how our government can get away with not being complicit and compliant when it comes to the law or the things that it does, is effectively if we send our children through these same tired, outdated, prehistoric educational systems, hallways, and what I would like to call educational prisons, then expect that we are creating the next generation of docile citizens who will not rebel, who will not question, who will not read. They'll just say yes. They'll just say yes. And so it should be a situation where we should be tired of this educational system. There are too many other avenues. You're right. With hundreds of millions of dollars to invest, there should be one particular school or building for each individual interest, where only a handful of students are going to go to those schools because that's what they want to do. It's got to be another way to this educational system. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for your interest, your questions. You, the listener, I just report, you decide. And as always, if no one has taken the time today to tell you that they love you, I love you. And guess what? It ain't nothing you can do about it.